we just learned how to create a rotating, kind of like a cube, or you can call it a square. But if you look very close, it might look like a cube. Anyway, my intention was to achieve a 3D cube, but I wasn't able to achieve that because thinking through it, I really don't know how I would throw a 3D cube in Compose. If you know how to do that, please comment down. But that said, today I was thinking of also creating another animation, and in this animation was more of a popular theme that we have, and that is I think you've seen, especially in iOS, there's this particular functionality where when you click on a text, it pops up like fireworks or just things falling down. And I was thinking that could be a good animation to have, especially for gamers. I mean, I can do an entire tutorial and series on animation because I do love animation. I know they're tough to build, but once you understand how they work, it becomes more and more easier. But today I'm going to build kind of like a firework animation where when we tap a button, we see things falling down. So let's try to do that. So in our animation package, we're going to create a new file and call this firework screen. So I'm going to create a composable function. Excuse me, and this composable function is just going to be a fun firework screen. And in this particular firework screen, what I'm going to create here is I'm going to first create a start animation, and I'm going to use again what we've been using, the state, remembering the state. So we need this to be a mutable list, not list. I'm used to saying mutable list of so much because that's what we use a lot at work, and I'm like, oh. But it's going to be a mutable state of, and currently our state is going to start as false because this will be triggered when we start the animation in the button. Now, here I'm going to create, it's just going to be a simple button. I mean, we can have a column if you want. We don't necessarily need a column, but here we can just create a button. And in this button, yep, let's do that. So in this button, we need a text. Here we'll have a string resource, r.string. Start firework. Nope. Start firework. I need to make sure this is imported. I need to create this. Of course, this is a lot for a button, so don't create a button that has all that. Now, so what we're going to do here is that we're going to update this value. Remember the value we created there, that start animation, it's by false. We're just going to say start animation will be equals to true here. Oh, it's not, it equals to true. And that's just to tell it that when we do this, start the animation. Now, let me format my code. I like to see what I'm doing. It's completing because it's a val and it cannot be reassigned. So I need to change that to a var, and now that can be reassigned. Errors that you make when you're coding, I notice. Oh, yeah. Now, so what happens when we start this animation? Because we've created this button that says, we say on click start animation. So we are going to say if start animation. That is, if when the start animation is called, we immediately start firework animation. We call that particular composable function. Now, remember, this is not created. So we are going to go ahead now and create this particular composable function on firework animation. And start working on creating now the firework animation. Now, a few things that we need to think about here when creating a firework animation is what we might need. And when I think about that splash where we have many things falling, we'll definitely need an infinite transition. And you can easily create that just through, again, using Canvas. I'll show you how to create that in a while. But we will definitely need, again, to use the animate like we used previously. So again, utilizing the animate, you can achieve so much. So I'm going to create an infinite transition. And here I'm just going to say, remember infinite transition. As you see, we really provided these things. Oh, why is this like that? Oh, it's never used. I just created it. Come on. I think it requires something here. What is this? Add a label parameter. Okay, so currently the label is just empty. I didn't remember that needing a label. Now, I will also need to create the state. And here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to tell this infinite transition. I think my transition is the problem. Yeah, it's not good spell. Transition. Okay. And then something else is wrong here. Oh, solved it. Okay. Because I'm like, okay, what is up? Now fixed. Now, so we're going to animate to float. Now, let's see what animate to float does. We can easily just read here. Now, create an animation of float type that runs initially as a part of a given infinite transition. Once the animation is created, it will run from initial value to target value and repeat. So depending on whether repeat mode of the provided animation spec, the animation could either restart after each iteration, i.e. repeat mode to restart, or reverse after each iteration, i.e. repeat mode reverse. And then it continues and says, if initial value or target value is changed at any point during the animation will be restarted with the new value, initial value, and target value. Note, this means continuity will not be preserved. So with that in mind, you know what we're going to aim for here. So here we're just going to go with the initial value of O, and here we can start with 1, and then the animations spec is where we're going to create now our infinite repeatable, what we need. Let's see, infinite repeatable. That's what we need. And as you can see there, it takes an animation, and this is duration based. So the duration based, we're just going to use the same thing we use in the other, remember, twin. And here I'm just going to say 1,000. I mean, you can make this as much. You can decide what you need. And then the easing again here is we need it to be linear easing. And then here I'm going to continue and tell it I need a repeat mode. As we already read, it needs a repeat mode. We can say restart, and I see it's complaining. Not complaining, but rather we have what is this? The label parameter should be set so this infinite transition property can be better inspected. Okay, so it needs a label. Okay, it looks better now. Interesting. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to leave it as is and go ahead and start creating my Canva. Now, my canvas. So in my canvas, again, we're going to take the modifier, and this modifier, I'm going to tell it, hey, modifier, my decorator, please fill my max size. And then I'm going to remove my own draw because I always need this other modifier. And I think I need, not modifier, but this Canva. Now, remember in the previous video, if you've not watched it, go watch it. We created a size of the cube. So what I'm going to create here, I'm going to create the width. So I'm going to call this, let's say, firework, let's say width. And this is just going to call the size dot width. And then, why did I say word? And then I'm going to do firework height and say size dot height. I don't know why I need to put the comma there. That's what complaining. Now, So we're going to, because we're trying to start a firework when we click this button. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just create a random generator. So here we're going to loop through. So we're just going to use a simple loop. And excuse me. And the fun thing with this is we're also learning Kotlin as we do this. So you can say for I in these days in Kotlin is pretty easy. So you can say, 5 or even you can say 10 if you want to. It's up to you. And then here, what do? We will generate this random particular numbers, and then take the X and Y and multiply by the width and the height that we've created. So I'm going to create a random X. And if you're a visual person, you already now see what I'm trying to visualize in my head as I build random dot. So next float. And here what I'm doing is I'm just going to multiply my fireworks height. And then the random Y will be, I'm going just to take random dot next float times my fireworks height. That's what I've just done. Now, we need a radius. And in this particular radius, what I'm thinking is that I want to ensure that I've created this particular things in this particular radius. And this radius, I'm just going to say, I will need to take this state, that particular state here that I have. And what I'm going to do is that value, multiply that by 30. Now, don't think of this number as any unique. It's just, like I've mentioned, these values are just my random values. It can be 40, but just how you want to create yours. Now, we're going to draw. Remember the draw section in the canvas where you can draw so many? So the fireworks, I want them to be, if you want the radius of this particular thing to be, let's say, bigger, you can make it bigger, but I want them to be smaller circles, or just, let me see. Yeah, they can be either small circles or big as you want, but let's see how this one comes out. So we're going to draw a circle, and here we're going to take the color. And again, you know what you need just through, as you can see there, it shows you color, radius, and all that stuff. So here the color is just going to be, let's a random dot. So we're just going to get random colors, random dot, next float. And then my other color is just also going to be random dot, next float. And then initially, I need to make sure that it has a kind of like an alpha of that. And then I'm going to say my radius will be equals to radius, what I created. And then my center will be equals to, now we need to take the offset. Remember the offset that we created on the other part when we're creating the rotating screen? We're going to take that particular offset too from the geometry. And then I'm going to put my random X and random Y. So initially what I've done here is, I know it might sound hard to explain, but I've not done anything unique. I've created a random X and Y. Again, X, Y. And what I've done is just I'm calculating that based on the size and the height. I've taken this radius here, and the radius again is just, I can make this either 20, but let me make it 40 so that we can see them when they pop out. And then the color is just drawing the color. And then as you can see here, I'm turning that radius of the circle and then the center. Now let's see if this works. So I'm going to take this code, bring into my main, comment this out. If you've not watched the previous video, please make sure you watch it. And then when we run this, let's see what we get. There we go. And here's the button that we have. We just did not center it. We just put it there. And when we start, there we go. As you can see, things are coming out as they grow in radius. There we go. And they're also infinite, so that's why they keep going. But you can make this as, customize it as the way you want. But it looks pretty cool. So that can be a nice way if you want your message to have a reaction. You can do that. It's not perfect, but it just showcases how you can create animations. Thank you so much and watch it for the next video. Bye.